So originally I was going to do a video predicting what WrestleMania 43 was going to be, but I honestly just don't really want to do that. However, instead, I'm going to do something completely unrelated, so unrelated to the fact that I probably shouldn't have even brought up what the original idea for this video was, but if you couldn't tell from the title already, I am going to be giving my opinions on Spider-Man characters. Now, I believe I might have done a video like this previously.
3 days later.
Okay, so I've done like 2 videos that are pretty similar to this. I did a video about my ending for Batman's villains, where I guess I don't remember what this video is. I think it was me just going through Batman's villains and just being like, here's how I would imagine they end their own story, in a sense, or like where they would be in the future. And then the other one was reacting to Batman hot takes, which I think was just me going on to Reddit and just finding hot takes about Batman. So not really, I haven't really done this style of video before, but it's, you know, it's not like it's complex or anything. It's just me giving my thoughts on Spider-Man characters. And I found this thread by Ultimate Carnage, aka at Felipe Manuel SS, and I found this because there's a lot of people commenting on the Robbie Robertson part of it, and we'll get to him sooner or later, but I'm mostly just going to start at the end of this thread, and I'm not going to show it on screen just because I feel like that would be pretty boring, so you get to look at my face in any pictures that I edit in to the video after I record, you know, to keep it lively. I mean, who doesn't want to see more of this? That's right. Anyways, starting off, we have Kane Parker, the clone that was created by Jackal but was imperfect. My thoughts about him, maybe this is an unpopular opinion, but I don't really like his Scarlet Spider suit all that much. And it's not because I think it looks bad. I think it does look good. Here's my problem with it. There is nothing separating his top and bottom half. Like, there's not a belt sort of style. There's not like a thing that indicates the torso and the legs in his design, so it just looks like he's wearing a onesie. Like, when you look at Spider-Man's design, he has that like red pattern with the webs on it that goes down, but then it forms like a kind of arrow near the hip where the top ends and the bottom begins. You can tell where the pants are. It's just a onesie, and I don't like it. It might be a minor thing to some, but to me it's just like, it's aesthetically not that great. I just wish there was something to indicate a difference. And like the picture I'm looking at now is like, it's literally just his entire lower half is just all red. It's just all red. What? Why? Put some black boots on there at the very least. Yeah, it's just, it feels like they forgot to add in the lower design details. So I don't know, maybe people are gonna get upset about that one, but like, if those changes were made, it would be such a better design in my opinion. But honestly, I prefer the first Scarlet Spider suit, the one with the hoodie. So much cooler. Then we got Jackal. Now, I'm just gonna say this beforehand, I'm going to skip any character as a part of this thread if I just don't really have that much of an opinion on them. Jackal, though, he's a weird one, because I don't think he's a terrible villain. You could do without him. He's not a necessary character. Same with the clones. The clones aren't necessary to the Spider-Man mythos, but I do kind of like him, and I do think that the Ben Reilly Jackal design is the best one. Like, every other Jackal design is just, he's a little goblin, man. He's a little goblin, and I don't like it. Nobody does. I don't know a single person who's just like, man, I really love the Jackal's design. Probably because there's just already so many goblins with Spider-Man, so like actually giving him a Jackal design, and it's not even Miles Warren. It's not even the OG Jackal, but yeah, it's the best design, hands down. Silver Sable. Don't really care. Again, she's another one of those characters who I don't feel like is as important to the Spider-Man mythos. Honestly, I feel like she really plays no part in it instead of outside of just being there. I mean, look, I have not read like a ton of old Spider-Man comics, but like when you look at the long history of Spider-Man, it just feels like she doesn't really do anything. I feel like she's more important to like Sandman's lore than Spider-Man's because he was a part of like her little super team, the Wild Pack, I'm pretty sure. Next up we have Vulture, and I mean, similar in terms of like just talking about their design. I think that the MCU design is the best, hands down. I do wish that the helmet was more bird-like. If you're gonna go for like a very technology-based Vulture design. But outside of that, I just feel like there hasn't been really any other design that's really killed it. I mean, you could definitely work on it a bit, but to me, I never really cared all that much about the Vulture. But the MCU, like Michael Keaton as Vulture, the design, everything about him just made me want to see more of that Vulture than any version from the comics or even like animated series have done since, like, or beforehand. Like, I just don't really care about the Vulture. Then we got Rhino. Now, Rhino is almost the exact opposite, in my opinion. Like, in terms of, this is a character I just really like. But similar to Vulture, I don't like his suit in the comics. I wish they would just update it. I wish he wasn't just a man in a rhino suit. You could do a more armored look, and I feel like, look, a bunch of people are gonna complain. They're just like, oh, you're over designing it, you're over detailing it. I rather prefer that than just seeing a man who is essentially just in a rhino onesie. I feel like Rhino could be such a better character, but it's just so hard to really, well, and he has some great stories. Even in the just rhino suit, where he's just a man in a rhino suit. I just think you can definitely update the design. We don't need to have him wearing a onesie. Then we got Sandman. Sandman is one of those characters who is a lot like Mr. Freeze, in my opinion, or Magneto, where you either have to give them an ending where they become a good guy and keep it that way, or you can only really use them to just do the like they fit into that character category of like an anti-villain where they're sympathetic and you want to care for them because it's understandable how they came the way that they are. Like, it's easy to understand what made them a villain, but unlike an anti-hero, you can't necessarily keep an anti-villain an anti-villain, or you're at risk of just making every story you do with them afterwards super stale because it just feels like it's not going anywhere. So you either gotta bite the bullet and just be like, fuck it, we're just making a full-on villain now, or you just gotta make him a good guy. Magneto has been a good guy and a bad guy so many times. He flip-flops. He's doing face turns and heel turns so many times. Hey, there's a wrestling connection to tie it into the original video's idea. But it's a joke at this point. It's a joke now that he really doesn't have any definable role, in my opinion. And the same with Mr. Freeze. Like, they do the whole tragic story of like, oh, my dear wife Nora. But it's like, either he saves her and just gives up being Mr. Freeze, or he just moves on and is just like, you know what, my wife's never coming out, I'm just gonna be a villain. Or you do what some stories do, where she comes out, she's like, ew, you did all this gross stuff, like you became a villain because I was sick, I'm just gonna leave you, and he just becomes a straight up villain after that. Or you do what the New 52 did. And some people don't like that. Some people don't even like Nora leaving them. But that's the thing, you're not going to make a lot of people happy making that decision, but you have to make it, or you're just at risk of making every story with them stale. And Sandman, who this originally is about, not Mr. Freeze, he, in my opinion, just fits right into that. Like, they try to play him as sympathetic. He was an Avenger. Yeah, Sandman was an Avenger at one point. But now he's just in this weird nebulous space. Like, is he a good guy? Is he like an anti-hero? Is he a bad guy again? And it just doesn't make you really care for him, in my opinion. Like I don't really care about the Sandman. Unfortunately, he should be a good character that you want to follow, but like, they haven't really done anything with him for you to care. Then we have Electro. He's fine. He's just a guy that a superhero can punch. And sometimes you need that. Not every hero needs to be super complex. Speaking of villains that aren't super complex, the Shocker. Again, he's just a guy you gotta beat up. It doesn't even have to be Herman. It could be anyone. That's what they did in Homecoming. And I think that's the best way to do it. Just make Shocker anybody, just a mantle that anyone picks up if they're just like, well, I can't really afford like serums that turn me into an animal hybrid man, so let me just wear these shock gloves. Scorpion is a character that I've learned to like a little bit more as time has gone on. Not from like the Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man show. I honestly have not really seen it. Everything about that show that I hear from it, that I learn from it, it's literally everything that I hate about like modern Spider-Man media. I heard the Scorpion was pretty good. I saw his design, it was fine. He's gonna show up in what is it called? Brand New Day. That would be cool. Played by the same guy who played him in Homecoming in that little post-credit scene that didn't seem like it was going anywhere, but guess what? It's going somewhere. That's right, they were playing the long game. But yeah, I think he's a cool villain overall. Troy Boyo did a great Spider-Man trilogy, like college trilogy fan project where he made Scorpion one of the main bad guys, and I think I think he is actually more responsible for piquing my interest into Scorpion than almost any other Spider-Man media, to be honest. But here's one opinion that might be unpopular. I do not like him as Venom. I do not like his design. I think that it's just not good. He's my least favorite Venom in terms of the main Venoms. Like in terms of the main three. You know, you got Flash, Eddie, and then Mac. That's my ranking. Flash is number one. Love the Agent Venom stuff, but I don't understand why people like Mac Organ Venom so much too. That's what surprises me. Like, what did he do? Like, what really did he do outside of being lackeys for other? Like, outside of being a lackey for another villain, what did he really do to make you like him as Venom so much? Because in the story that he turns into Venom, he's a lackey for the Green Goblin, and then he becomes a Dark Avenger and is like on the Thunderbolts and stuff too. So he's a lackey for Norman again. I don't get it. I don't get why people really like him all that much. Ben Urich, this one's easy. He should just be a Spider-Man. Not a Spider-Man. He should just be a Daredevil supporting character. Honestly, I don't think he should even interact with Spider-Man all that much. Black Cat. This one's interesting because I do like Black Cat, but I don't feel like I care enough about her. I don't know. Like, I like her being a Spider-Man character, but there's just not that much to really get me invested into her as a character because she just kind of feels like Catwoman. She just feels like Marvel's Catwoman. But I do like her. Her design is great. I love her design. But, you know, I like the whole thing of like, whenever MJ and Peter have problems, Black Cat's always kind of there to make things a little bit more complicated. I like that aspect of her. When they tried to make her like a crime boss, I feel like they were just doing way too much. I feel like a better way for her to evolve her character is to either just move away from Spider-Man all like completely or just to actually become a superhero. I do like the idea of her and Peter getting together, but I never see that as like a long reigning thing. Chameleon, to me, he's one of those villains that honestly I feel like you could just pawn off to another character. Like, this could be a Daredevil villain now. And originally was a Spider-Man villain, was the first ever Spider-Man villain, really. But like, he just doesn't, when you look at every other Spider-Man villain, he just doesn't blend in all that well. He doesn't fit into the group shot all that well. He kind of sticks out like a sore thumb. So to me, I'm just like, you know what? Just make him a Daredevil villain. He could use more. Kraven, they should never have brought him back after the last hunt. It was a great story for him to end out on. I do like Kraven. Again, like Scorpion, I like him more and more as time has gone on. To me, he was just originally that guy who died. That's it. He's the Spider-Man villain who died. Didn't care about him much after that. But honestly, he's cool. I like his design. I liked the role he played in Spider-Man 2, even though it was short. It was short. A little too short for Kraven. But honestly, you know, they should have never brought him back. I like the idea of like his extended family. Like, you could have continued the Kraven stuff through that. But I feel like they just never were willing to really just go all in on that. It was just like, well, we want to do Kraven stuff, but nobody cares about this extended family. And instead of actually doing something interesting with them, they were just like, let's just bring him back. Or, instead of just making his extended family Spider-Man villain, make them Black Panther villains. Again, Spider-Man's got enough villains. You can pawn them off. They're fine. He would probably want it that way. Please, deal with them yourselves. I do not want to deal with these people. Carnage, I don't really care for Carnage all that much. He's fine. To me, he's not even a Spider-Man villain. He's a Venom villain. That's it. He's fine. Now, pretty cool design, but that's really about it. Then we got Eddie Brock, Venom. Like I said, second favorite Venom out of the main three. I enjoyed the Donny Cates run a lot. His earlier stories were really fun. Didn't care for the time frame in between those all that well. I don't mind an anti-hero Eddie. Obviously, you know, reading Donny Cates' book and with the 90s stuff, they were slowly turning him into that. But I feel like once the children got involved, like it should just be Venom and Carnage. No other symbiotes unless you're gonna do like Null and King in Black, but like Scream, Lash, the others, the other symbiotes. Too much. Just keep it simple. Flash Thompson, like I said, best Venom. Agent Venom, best design. Don't care for Agent Anti-Venom. Too long of a name. Should have just been Venom the entire time. From some of the earlier parts of the Donny Cates run, it honestly kind of feels like Donny really just wanted to use Flash as Venom. Because I feel like he mentioned it's like mentioned twice in like the Donny Cates run when he meets Rex and when he meets the Maker. They're both disappointed that it's not Flash, or there's some disappointment going on with Flash, or they're just like, oh, you're not Flash Thompson? Well, that sucks. Nope. He would solve this problem, in a few hours. I mean, he was a Space Knight. That was a weird period where he didn't even look like Venom. He just looked like a guy in a giant black suit. Ben Reilly, another character they should have just kept dead because they ruined him when they brought him back as the Jackal. They tried to fix it by bringing him back as the Scarlet Spider, but then Chasm. Nobody wants Chasm. Nobody likes Chasm, right? Moving on. That's where I'm gonna leave that off. Hobie Brown, Prowler. Here's the thing. All right. This was something that I was thinking about earlier when I was just kind of going over this thread, getting, forming my little opinions ahead of time. I think it would be a really cool idea if they retcon. Now that the Ultimate Universe and the main universe are the same universe because Miles is now in the main universe, retcon that Hobie and Aaron shared the mantle of the Prowler. Like you could do a story of like maybe college Spider-Man where he's, facing down bad guys and encounters the Prowler. Do a retcon on the first encounter with the Prowler, which I believe was like the Prowler was coming after him, thinking that he killed Gwen Stacy. Just retcon that, and we'll get to Gwen Stacy, surely enough. Retcon that and be like, Hobie and Aaron were both criminals, but they shared the mantle of the Prowler in order to get any sort of suspicion off of their back. So like in the same way that like Batman will sometimes have Superman pretend to be him just to, divert attention away to any rumors that, Bruce might be Batman. Do that, but but the bad guy version of it. I think that would be really cool. I think that was a fun little idea I had in my head. And honestly, just make it canon. I mean, my other opinion on this is just, unfortunately, Hobie Brown is just Spider-Punk now. So nobody cares about the main Hobie Brown. They really don't. They never really care. That's the thing. As soon as Aaron Davis, showed up, nobody cared even more about Hobie than they already didn't care about him. Tombstone, I like what they did with the video game where they made him a biker gang leader. There's so many mob bosses already when it comes to like, especially just Spider-Man villains. Making him a biker gang leader, that's fun. Robbie Robertson, like I said, this is kind of how I got introduced to this thread and made me want to do this video. I'm not really going to talk about Robbie himself. I think he's just a good character to be consistently in the Spider-Man books, but I'm going to use this to talk about the Daily Bugle and some of the problems I have with modern comics as a whole. In a same way that I just hate that they killed off Alfred and did nothing with it afterwards, I have the same problem with the fact that the Daily Bugle is not a big enough factor in Spider-Man stories as it used to be. Now, you shouldn't have Peter still be working there, maybe. I'm kind of up in the air about that. But I think a lot of the current problems of modern comics are indicative of the fact that the Daily Bugle is not that big of a factor when it comes to Spider-Man, and that Alfred is dead. Because again, it's just two factors of these comics that they have done nothing with. The only thing that they have done post Alfred's death in Batman is just Batman is sad that Alfred is dead. No character development, nothing. And a lot of fans will defend this because they're like, oh, but it's growth, it's change. No, it's not. It's just surface level. That's the thing. It's a surface level change. They want comics to be, especially Spider-Man comics, to be how they used to be. And same with Batman comics where these characters would grow and change over time. But that's not what's happening here. You think it is because a big change happened or elements of the story is gone, but it's all surface level. The characters aren't changing. Spider-Man is getting younger. Like, Marvel wants to keep Spider-Man young. They don't want him to grow up. That's why One More Day happened. And look at how much damage it did to the Spider-Man mythos after that. I mean, the comic still sells well, but that's because nerds can be stupid. And they will buy any slop that you put in front of them, unfortunately. And they know they're buying slop too. They constantly hate on the book. And same with Batman. Now, the current Batman run is pretty good. From what I hear, I read the first few issues. I'm not caught up on it. I'm going to try to catch up on it at some point, but Matt Fraction seems to be doing a pretty good job. But again, when you look at where that book is, it's just so out of left field for what Gotham is, and you just know it's not going to matter for the future. Like, Vandal Savage is commissioner. Vandal Savage, James Gordon is a beat cop. Do you think that really matters? Do you think that's going to matter 3 or 5 years from now? No. It's not like the death of Gwen Stacy. It's not like the death of Jason Todd. It's not like all these seminal key points of Spider-Man and Batman's characters where you can see they start to change. No, it's just another thing that happens that just removes another piece of this mythos off the board to the point where it just looks unrecognizable. But that's my little rant about Robbie Robertson. But yeah, a cool character, should be a mainstay. At least just as a character who is there, you don't need to really do much with him. J. Jonah Jameson, again, similar to Robbie, like he should just be there. He should be a character. And honestly, I don't really like the face turn of Jonah. That might be the unpopular opinion for this. I don't really care for the face turn because, like, again, they have done nothing interesting with it. Like, it falls into that same line of Alfred that I was mentioning earlier. It's like, okay, we have this big change with Jonah where he is a good guy. He's an ally to Spider-Man now. What has that really done? Nothing. So who cares? I would rather he just be a dick yelling about Spider-Man and having some good moments where he can be a good guy. But yeah, do I really care that Insomniac made him a Alex Jones parody? Not really. At least it's something. I'd rather hear Jonah complain about Spider-Man than just being like, you and me, Pete, we're good friends now. It's more interesting. Doc Ock, cool villain. What's to really say? I feel like he's just a cool villain. But honestly, again, a villain you shouldn't have brought back. Let Superior Spider-Man be his end. He does not need to be brought back, and like a lot of the villains I mentioned earlier, a lot of characters in general that I mentioned earlier, they have done nothing with him since he has come back that has made him even a little bit interesting. Now, I can't say that about Norman Osborn. Norman Osborn, I feel like, is the exact opposite of that, where they have done some cool stuff with him ever since he returned, even though it was kind of just ripping off DC a bit when he became like the guy controlling the Thunderbolts and then the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. or Hammer, very much just being like, well, Lex Luthor was president, let's have the Green Goblin control the government essentially. But it was something, and honestly, like, it's not necessarily a bad end to the Clone Saga of him just being like, yeah, I'm alive again and I'm back. Yeah, so how like the Clone Saga was filled with like 90s bullshit that was just stupid. Let's go back to classic Spider-Man stories. That was pretty fun. But again, I don't care for good guy Norman. I think it's Mullet Man on YouTube who made a great video recently talking about Green Goblin. Definitely check it out. There is something that could be interesting of like finding redemption in this irredeemable character, but it's a little weird that it came from a magical shotgun. I'm not even lying there either. Gwen Stacy, honestly, you don't even need her. Like what I mentioned earlier about like, the death of Gwen Stacy being such an important period for Spider-Man, I feel like we're kind of at the point where that just means nothing and you don't even really need it in Spider-Man's mythos. Like if you were going to do your own version of Spider-Man, like in an alternate universe, you could just skip Gwen Stacy. At this point, I feel like most people just kind of know her as Spider-Gwen. Like they just prefer that version, where you may as well just skip over the woman who got fridged for Peter. Harry Osborn, I feel like this was the case of killing off a villain way too soon, if I'm gonna be honest. Now I actually own the issue in where Harry originally dies, and I do like what Nick Spencer did with that, with like the One More Day retcon and making him Kindred, even though Kindred was a stupid villain. Of being like, no, I'm still evil and I was trying to orchestrate the demise of Peter and my father. Like, I kind of like that. But I feel like there was so much more they could have done with Harry as the Green Goblin back when he was originally the Green Goblin. I don't know, I would have loved to see more of him. I feel like he has a lot of untapped potential as the Green Goblin, and unfortunately the, the only other period of Harry being the Green Goblin is in those two stupid movies. Like, outside of the comics, the two worst Spider-Man movies. And I am somewhat of an Amazing Spider-Man 2 defender, and even I admit that literally the worst, in my opinion, outside of like the sequel baiting, the worst part of that movie is Harry's Green Goblin. It's so bad. And obviously we got Spider-Man 3 where he's a snowboarder. Like, the fact that those are the two most culturally relevant time periods of Harry as a Green Goblin is just so bad. I wish we could see more of him as the Goblin in the main universe, in the comics. Aunt May, she should just be dead. Kill her. She should be dead. She should be in the ground. Take what I said about Alfred and completely ignore that for May. And here's the thing. Going back to that Alfred thing, I don't mind if they killed Alfred as long as they would have done something with it, and they haven't. That's my problem. Like, if you're going to do these big things, these big character changing moments, do something with them. Make them big character changing moments. But no, they just haven't. Honestly, sometimes I feel like it's completely forgotten that Alfred is even dead. Because, like, what has that really added or taken away from the story? Doesn't mean it's just like a few pages where we just don't have Bruce explaining stuff to Alfred. That's it. That's all we really took away. It's nothing about the characters themselves. I mean, they honestly did more in the Nightwing book to honor Alfred and make it a moment for Dick. Way more than they ever did for Bruce. Mary Jane Watson, no, she's Endgame, best Spider-Man love interest. I really have nothing else to say. I mean, actually, again, complaining about modern day Spider-Man comics, you would think that when we live in a world that is more conscious of how we should handle female characters in fiction, that she would be better off now than she was in like the 80s and 90s. But arguably, she actually had more agency and dependency as a character back then. Like, there was an entire arc where a stalker of MJ's came back to stalk her again, and it was like this whole thing. And instead of being like, hey Peter, can you handle this for me, she got a gun and dealt with that shit herself. Now she's Venom. She's goddamn Venom. Like, writers used to be able to do interesting stuff with MJ that didn't include making her a fucking superhero. Like, oh my god. They just completely, I feel like MJ is just like, she's not even a character at this point. They're just trying to do anything and everything to make sure that they never get together, to the point where they will just completely mess with her character. And also, I prefer that she either be a actress or a model than be a reporter. I do not like this whole like girl next door element to MJ, which I feel like started with the Spider-Man movie. I don't like it. Let her be a wild card who, as she gets older, becomes, controls more of it. Like, she's still that same character. Like, she's still that same fiery redhead, but like, she is able to rein it in. And I feel like, funny enough, I feel like Hickman's Ultimate Spider-Man did that way better. Like, I feel like he actually handled MJ's character very well, despite what a lot of people said about it. Like, in terms of her character, I really did like her in that series. And then we got the main man himself, Peter Parker. He's just not a character anymore, is he? He's just an editorial puppet. That's the thing. That's all he is. All the character has been stripped away. Any growth the character has had removed. He's nothing, unfortunately. He's just, you know what he is? He's Mickey Mouse. He's a mascot. I mean, he always was, but like, now that's all he is. He doesn't even have a character to him. I don't really know what else to say. Like, I feel nothing when it comes to like Peter Parker Spider-Man anymore, because like, what can they even do at this point to make him just completely unrelatable at this point? Like, just, I feel like the damage has been done to the point where I feel like even if they did, like, even if they undid One More Day, it's not going to be able to fix anything. You have to, like, this isn't a story thing that you necessarily need to fix. This is a editorial. This is a company structure that you got to fix in order to, I feel like, get people more connected with this character again. There's a reason why people really like Miles. Like, why Miles has been getting so much of this extra attention from fans. It's because don't really care about Peter anymore. I mean, they'll still buy the book, like I said earlier, but, you know, I feel like there's just this detachment that used to not be the case. I feel like just some people are completely detached from the character, or at least I am. So who knows, it might just be me. But yeah, that's all I really gotta say. I mean, this was pretty fun. You know, just for the most part, it was just me ranting about comic book characters. But honestly, I would love to do this again, maybe for a Batman style thread. I probably won't like go on my way to find one. Honestly, what would probably just be is me going through like Batman characters and villains and just being like, here are some that I have opinions about, or I feel like would be a good jumping off point to go on a rant like I did with Robbie. But yeah, that's all I really had to say. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I would like to make these style of videos more so, but I am thinking about getting more into the video essay side, similar to what I did with my last video, did Michael Bay ruin Transformers. I'm actually more than likely, we'll see, it's I'm still in the very early parts of it, so I don't want to shoot my shot. Maybe that's the right phrase to use, I don't know. I don't want to, you know, jinx myself is probably a better term to use. But I am thinking about creating a series on this channel that I'll do once a month where I talk about a certain comic book. Again, this is very early stages. I don't even have the script written out. I'm just reading the book right now, and then I'm gonna work on the script afterwards. But I would like to do that. You know, honestly, here's the thing. I've been watching a lot of Linkara recently. Been watching a lot of Linkara, really enjoying them. And it's kind of inspired me to do my own little like comic book review show. You know, just I really want to do more with this channel in a big bad way, just because I really just love talking about this stuff. It's just, I love it. I really like making these videos, even regardless of how tedious the editing can be and shit like that. I really like doing it. So hopefully you'll check it out if you like that idea. If not, I still have another video essay that I'm working on separately regarding the Batman Arkham games. So, you know, if those sound good to you, you will definitely be seeing them sometime within the coming months. But until then, I will see you all next time.